John Gibbons has made a living in the game of baseball for almost his entire life. But in the infamous words of Don Corleone, just when he thought he was getting out, they pull him back in. This time, not as a manager, but as a bench coach for the first-time manager, Carlos Mendoza. John won almost 800 career ball games leading the Toronto Blue Jays, but now returns home to the Mets, the team that brought him to the big leagues as a player.
I was here in 1988, the first year they opened this thing, right? And there was nothing here. Now it's actually kind of boomed. They got a great facility, you know.
When last we spoke, you were a podcaster and an author, and yet here you are now again, and you're back in the game. Tell us how that all came about.
Hey, Chucky, a best-selling author.
Right.
You know, I've talked to you a few times over the years, and you know, I always wanted to get back in the game, right? On the field, nothing ever developed. You know, I was gone. So I was fired in 2018, and I scouted a couple years with the Braves and what have you. But then this past off season, you know, when they made some changes here in New York and they hired Carlos Mendoza, the first thing that entered my mind was, you know, maybe they'll hire, since his first time doing it, they'll hire a guy that has been around a while, right? Just a passing thought. And then sure enough, a couple weeks later, one of my old coaches, DeMarlo Hale, called me and said, "Hey, I know Mendoza. Can I give him your number? He wants to talk to you." I said, "Sure." And then Ken called me a day later down there in Tampa, same thing. I said, "Yeah, I'd love to talk to the guy." So Carlos called me. And, you know, you can tell right away, man. You know, when you talk to somebody on the phone or whatever, you meet somebody, you can tell the people you really like, right? And we hit it off. And I was just hoping, yeah, I would love a shot at it. And then, of course, I talked to David Stearns and a couple of the other front office people. And I got the job, you know. So it wasn't like I pursued it, but I thought, yeah, I did definitely had some interest in it. And so really I'm back to where it all started in 1980.
Where are you going to live up there? I mean, how long did it take you to get your feet on the ground and then figure out, you know, going to spring training, and how much of this has been a whirlwind trying to get up to speed?
This year really hit me late. I was in a panic. I didn't, you know, because it's been 5 years, and I was actually getting pretty good at doing nothing at home. Now it's funny you talk about where I'm going to live. You know, the coaches we were all sitting around a table this afternoon talking about different places up there. Because New York, I mean, it's an expensive town. It's tough to find places, and so we're in the process of doing that. So it's back to reality, I guess, for me, you could say. Everything's falling in place pretty good.
What's the first thing that you have to do as a bench coach when you're coming into a new organization? And, you know, did you have to get down there early to start meeting guys? And, you know, how many of the players have you had a chance to chat with and meet?
You know, when I was a little bit younger, I might have got down here earlier, but now you get a little older, so got plenty of time to get to know these guys, right? Chuck, there's a good core group of players here. They really are. You know, it was just 2 years ago they won over 100 games. And then last year they, you know, had some injuries and things. It was one of those years, you know, you really can't explain it, so you shouldn't even try, right? It was just one of those years. So there's a good group here, not only a talented, but a good bunch. So it's been a pleasure meeting some of them. They made brought in some new faces. You know, who knows how good we'll be? You know, but we like the team, and you know, you got to learn people all over again that you're not familiar with. But that's kind of one of the enjoyable parts. Hey, I don't even hit fungo anymore, man. I haven't even swung a bat yet, dude. This is strictly knowledge. I got a torn rotator cuff and a torn labrum, so I can't throw BP anymore. It's funny though, Chuck. I went out on the field today. The catchers were throwing to the bases, and so I went down to one of the bases to, you know, just catch some throws. And these guys were whistling it, man. And that ball was like, I know my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, but the ball was like dancing. I'm going, oh, I got to get out of here. I had to have somebody come take my spot. I didn't want to get one right in the head, you know. but I got to learn, man. I'm not as young as I used to be. So this is going to be brains over brawn, hopefully.
Yeah, I was going to say, as an old catcher, like none of it muscle memory, huh? Games passed you by?
It passed me by. Heck, it passed me by when I was in my prime.